What up? What up, Chop House? So we're working on the Jag again. So we've got it mechanically sound. Everything under the hood is good to go. But now we're going to start working on the interiors. But the thing that's holding us back from the interior completion is that we need to waterproof the car. Now, I've pulled out some of this gasket already. But you see this down in here? That's when the water was penetrating through this old cracked gasket in here. And they did a real, excuse my language, putting this windshield in. Whoever redid it, probably 2 decades ago, they did it lazily. They did it in the most lazy way possible. So all the water started to seep into this gasket and then created these rust spots. So we're gonna waterproof the car, but right now we're looking at the sunroof. So this sunroof gasket is toast. Let's see, got some better pieces in there, but you see how it's kind of torn here. And if you look at it, it's just really hard, dry. There's a lot of crack points on it. You see there's a piece missing down there at the end. To take this off to replace the gasket on it, it's really simple actually, believe it or not. It just took me a while to figure it out. There's not exactly a guidebook on this. So from inside, from inside, there's gonna be, there's gonna be 1 to 2 screws on each side, driver's side and passenger side, right on the inside here. Okay, right here on the inside. If you want to know how I got to the point of no headliner, well, it wasn't that complicated. The water took it down for me. But once you take off the 2 to 4 screws, I only had 2 screws, but you may have 4, because I definitely saw slots for 2 screws. So there's all 4 Phillips head screws. Take them all out, and then what you do is close it. So as you see now, I have it in the closed position. I've already kind of ripped out some of the gasket here, and I'll show you that. The only thing holding this thing in are 2 spring clips on the inside and those 4 washers right here. So I'm literally just gonna take something to pry up on this thing and pull it up. See that? Look at that. The whole thing pops up. You can pull it off of the rear springs. This whole thing comes up and we can replace the sunroof gasket. So I will meet you back inside and we'll replace the gasket next. Okay, y'all, here we go. Welcome, Chop House gang. We're working on the sunroof here for the Jag, and you just saw it came out. But if I zoom in here, you can see all the damage to the gasket. You can see the holes here, big gap here. This is exactly what it looked like. So I think what happened was when they repainted this car in the past, they painted right over the gaskets. You know, the paint job doesn't look terrible, but this is probably where there was a bit more laziness, because there's paint all over this gasket. And what the paint did was it hardened the rubber. I mean, the rubber probably would have got hardened over 30 years anyway, but the paint didn't help. Okay, it's really dry, it's really cracky. So the way I got the fresh sunroof gasket right here. So I just realized this. So the sunroof is a lot of different pieces. Okay, this piece sits on top of the sunroof, outside of those couple of screws in the front. So let me flip this over so you can see what the back of it looks like. You don't see this part from the inside of the car because this is a lid. This is a sunroof lid. The whole sunroof mechanism is everything else, right? And this sits on top of the mechanism. So when you pull this out, the inside of the car is not exposed. I'll show you that. You just kind of see the mechanism that this sits on top of. You can see there's something like 30 screws around the perimeter, and this is like a bracket. It's like a bracket that holds in the gasket here. Okay, that's how the gasket's held in place. We push the gasket in, and then the screws hold it in. Okay, so we're gonna go around, we're gonna unscrew all of this, and that should release the old gasket. We put the new gasket in, we screw it back in, we slap it back on the car. That's at least how simple it should be. So we'll see what else we run into. But let's get this gasket replaced. And, you know, I'm probably going to end up, I might sand this down, this rust, and just give it a little paint of a little, like 3 or 4 coats of paint here on the end. Yeah, you know what? I'll be back. We're gonna sand this down, put some paint on it, some Rust-Oleum rust paint, because you're not gonna see this part anyway in the car. So that way that stops this rust from continuing inside the car. Okay, so we're gonna do that. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back. I got some of that Rust-Oleum rust dissolver here. I got an angle grinder, and I've already ground all the surface rust off of this lip here. So then we're gonna let the Rust-Oleum do the rest to eat up all the rust. And then once we feel pretty confident that's eating this rust in about a half hour, we're gonna wipe it down with some distilled water, let it dry, make sure we didn't miss anything, and then we're gonna put a layer of some Rust-Oleum paint, which will make sure the rust doesn't come through on this.
Yes.
So, all right, now we're gonna start undoing these screws. I'll be back in a moment. So we've gotten all the perimeter screws out. We got them here. We got these 2 little metal pieces. They go on the edge here. That looks like to hold the rubber down. We're taking those off. Now that we have that all off, these little rails can start to come off. Yeah, because the rails is what holds this thing in. You can see there's that rail coming off, and then here's the sunroof gasket right here. See if I can't pop this rail out. Here's a good view of it. Like the rail kind of sits inside the sunroof gasket right there. See that little gap here? The rail sits right inside. So we're gonna take this out. Now before we move this bit of the sunroof gasket here, because this is all that's left attached, we want to take our new gasket and make sure we know exactly how this thing goes down. Okay. Let's see if I can move this a little better so you can see more of what I'm doing. Okay, so what part looks like that? Okay, if that's the back edge, that makes this okay. Let me wipe down this Rust-Oleum, because that's kind of been doing its thing here. Alright, so I think we got it here. It looks like the piece the way this goes down here is, you see there, this little L lip, and you see it's like it's missing here, just because this goes on the back side of the sunroof, okay? And here on the inside of that L is where the brackets go. Okay, the brackets go in this here. So now that we know that, I'm gonna generally put the gasket in place. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it off. There's our old cracked up, terrible looking gasket. I'm going to just take a paper towel and wipe it down. 99% isopropyl alcohol. I'm gonna wipe down where the new gasket is going in. This is just to remove any dirt or particles. interfere. Okay, so now I'm gonna start to lay this in place. Now that we generally have the sides on, now we just gotta put this on. And let me just bring it over so you can see for a second. So it goes in this groove here. You can kind of see how I did it there. And then this bracket should go in here like so. Alright, so I'm gonna finish putting this last piece on, and then we're gonna check the back. Okay, so we got the gasket in place. It was actually really simple. We got everything tight. Nothing was really tight. It was everything that has just been kind of snugged down. That's what nothing was really tight. So I'm gonna go through and make sure all these are snugged down. Don't over tighten anything, because then it'll probably never come back off. There we go. these little screws are already 30 years old. Hopefully this car won't have to do this again. Okay. Alright, I know I've already tightened all these down already. So let's flip this over and work on the back here. So I believe that with a flathead screwdriver we should be able to just put this in here. So you see there's a little channel right here, and this has a little channel on the bottom of it, so it's rubber. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna corner it in and then take a flathead screwdriver and then push it into the channel gently so I don't rip it. Okay, that's the goal. Alright, so this is what the top of the sunroof looks like without the lid. You can see this is the part that comes up. These are the screw holes where the screws go in. There's 4 of them kind of going down the line. And then these are the springs I was telling you about. You see the little flap just goes right underneath that spring there. Just slides right underneath. And then you push the whole lid down from the inside. We gotta open it up just a little bit, and then we can put the screws in to hold it down, and that's it. That's all it is. So I am going to try to set this up so you can watch me do it. Okay, so I'm about to bring the deck cover over and put it on. Oh well, tell you what, let me show it to you first. So there we go. Fresh gasket applied all the way around. It's gonna be a little tough to put this in. I tell you that much. You gotta get it in that channel. The best thing I can tell you to do to get this back lip in is to put it in on the back side, and then from this side with a screwdriver just gently push it into the crack. That was the best way to do it. It was a pain in the ass. I'm sure you'll figure it out if you got this far. So there's the deck lid, and now try to get it up under the springs first. Okay, I got this side. I got that side too. Okay, I got both sides. Let me just, I'm gonna have to pinch down the gasket on that side. Pressing the gasket in so it fits. Yeah, I'm just pressing the gasket in. Same on this side. pressing the gasket in so I can get it in. Because once it sits on the inside, we're good to go. You can kind of adjust it from the inside at that point. Okay, so now we got the deck, the whole sunroof deck is on. So now the key is we got to go from inside the car and put the screws in. I'll show you that in a second, but I gotta. Now I have to open up the sunroof a little bit from the inside. Okay, so now I've opened it up a little bit. Now from the inside, hope you can see that. That screw hole right there. I'm gonna put screw in there and screw on the other side. Okay, and tighten it down, and we're done. Then we're gonna test operate it and make sure it all slides closed perfectly. All right, be back in a second. All right, Alexander, go ahead and hit the button. All right, now put it back. Go the other way.
Okay.
Press the button the other way. There you go. Perfection. So there we go. Fresh sunroof gasket in place all the way down.